Picture this. It's the quiet, early morning hours in a small Minnesota town. Smoke is just pouring out of a mobile home. What looks like a routine fire call is about to unravel into a scene of murder and arson. But honestly, what's hiding beneath the ashes is a secret so disturbing, no one could have possibly seen it coming.
Okay, let's get right into this. When first responders got to the scene, they thought they were just dealing with a tragic house fire. But as they started sifting through what was left, they started peeling back the layers, and one horrifying discovery just led to another, revealing this complex web of deceit, betrayal, and a desperate race against time. So it all begins at this burned-out home. Investigators step onto a crime scene that is anything but straightforward. What should be a routine fire investigation is about to spiral into a complex homicide and a frantic search for a little girl. Right away, they knew something was seriously wrong. The homeowner, 35-year-old Melissa Norby, was found under a mattress, of all places, with her hands bound with duct tape. And then you've got a gas can, clear signs of an explosion. The coroner later confirmed she'd been strangled. So this established a critical fact. This was no accident. Melissa Norby was murdered, and her killer tried to burn all the evidence to the ground. So that first hour is just pure chaos. But by 8 a.m., they have a victim. They were worried Melissa's young son might have been in the house, but after a frantic search, they get this huge wave of relief. He was safe with family. But then, the real horror starts to sink in. They find out Melissa was babysitting her best friend's 5-year-old daughter, Brittany, and she is nowhere to be found. And just as investigators are piecing this together, Amanda Smith, who had been Melissa's best friend for 30 years, shows up at the scene, just completely panicked. She's certain her daughter is inside. She keeps telling officers, "My daughter is in that house." But they've already searched every single square inch. They're sure no other body is in there. And that was the terrifying turning point. The investigators were now faced with this chilling question. If Brittany isn't in the house, then where is she? So now the investigation is basically a two-front war. Find a killer and find a missing child. And the clock is ticking. With Brittany's life on the line, investigators have to look at everyone, and they start with those closest to Melissa and her daughter. They start with Brittany's parents, Amanda and Scott, but they're quickly cleared. Then they look at Melissa's ex-boyfriend, and this guy has a prior arson conviction, which is a huge red flag, but his alibi is solid. So the net just gets wider and wider. They talk to every registered predatory offender in the county, friends, neighbors, anyone they can think of. The list of suspects just keeps growing. But then, a conversation with one of Melissa's friends gives them a piece of investigative gold. So her friends reveal that Melissa had been secretly dating this guy she called Chance. His real name, Jacob Kinn. And that name is very familiar to local law enforcement. See, Kinn is a registered sex offender, and he's on probation at that very moment for trying to solicit photos of a young girl online. All of a sudden, investigators have a prime suspect. Police bring Kinn in for questioning. He tells them this story about how he was fishing at a place called Clear Lake about 50 miles north. But here's the thing about modern police work. Investigators had already used cell tower data to get a general location from his phone, and his story just didn't add up. His phone wasn't anywhere near Clear Lake. It was pinging in Big Fork, a really remote area almost 80 miles away from where he said he was. Now, despite the lies, despite their gut telling them this is the guy, they just don't have enough to hold him. So after 4 grueling hours, Jacob Kinn walks out the door. But, and this is a huge but, investigators convinced him to leave his phone behind. It was one of the smartest decisions of the entire case, because that phone was about to blow this investigation wide open. And this is the moment where everything just completely changes. As Kinn is walking free, a forensic team is digging into his phone, and they are about to uncover a conspiracy so twisted, it leaves even the most seasoned detectives absolutely speechless. So while the main team is back at the table trying to figure out their next move, a forensic analyst working on Kinn's phone suddenly yells out, "Bingo! You guys gotta come look at this." What he found was a series of deleted text messages. The text messages are between Jacob Kinn and, get this, Melissa Norby, the murder victim. And they don't detail a love affair. They detail a plot to kidnap her best friend's 5-year-old daughter. The plan was for Melissa to fake her own assault, a fake carjacking, to give cover for some unknown man
to abduct Brittany. And just like that, the horrifying truth was crystal clear. The unknown man was Jacob Kin, and Melissa, the trusted friend, the babysitter, was his accomplice. She was going to hand over her best friend's child to a registered sex offender who, in their texts, referred to the little girl as his toy. I mean, the betrayal is it's incomprehensible. So with this monstrous truth revealed, the mission becomes singular and desperate. They now know where Ken was, Big Fork, the location from his phone ping. The only question now is, can they possibly get there in time? So you've got two agents racing to this remote area of Big Fork in the middle of the night. It feels like searching for a needle in a haystack. But they get a break. A dispatcher finds out Ken's family owns property just 3 miles from that cell tower ping. And then Mother Nature gives them another clue. A heavy downpour meant any recent tire tracks in the mud would be fresh and super easy to follow. This is how all the pieces came together so perfectly. The digital forensics, the cell phone ping, got them to the right area. Good old-fashioned police work, noticing mud and specific flowers on Ken's Jeep, told them what to look for. And the recent rain let them follow fresh tire tracks down this secluded dirt road. And those tracks, they led them directly to a small, hidden camper. What happened next was just a moment of unbelievable tension, followed by this wave of overwhelming relief. It was so powerful, one of the agents actually captured it on his cell phone, not even knowing what he was about to find. Special Agent Rob Frack walks up to the camper. The door's been taped shut with electrical tape. He rips it off, slowly opens the door, and looks inside. And there she is, 5-year-old Brittany, alive. His first words to her are so calm, so reassuring. "Hi, you don't have to be scared. We're the police." With Brittany safe, the call went out, "Arrest him." Just 90 minutes later, Jacob Kin was pulled over in his father's truck, and police believe he was on his way back to that camper. His freedom was very short-lived. For his crimes, he was ultimately sentenced to this many years behind bars, 52. So Kin ended up taking a plea deal, which spared Brittany the incredible trauma of having to testify in court. He pleaded guilty to first-degree kidnapping and criminal sexual conduct. For Melissa Norby's death, he pleaded to second-degree unintentional murder, basically arguing that she died by accident during a choking act that was part of their sexual relationship. But through all the darkness of this case, the murder, the kidnapping, the betrayal, the most enduring story is that of a little girl's incredible strength. An investigator who worked tirelessly to find her really said it best. Brittany is a hero to all of us. She's resilient, she's a rock. In the end, Jacob Kin is in prison, and a little girl is safe. But this case leaves us with this haunting question that's almost impossible to answer. It really forces you to wonder about the nature of trust, the depths of manipulation, and the terrifying possibility that sometimes the greatest danger can hide behind the face of a friend you've known your entire life.